Have you ever wondered why your relationship with your father affects you so deeply, even years later? Perhaps your father was loving but distant. Perhaps he worked hard for the family but rarely expressed affection. Or maybe there were moments when you felt unseen, unheard, or misunderstood by the one person whose approval you longed for most. Even today, you may find yourself carrying emotions that seem difficult to explain. A simple memory, a certain conversation, or even the mention of your father can awaken feelings of love, sadness, gratitude, anger, or longing all at once. Why does this happen? Why does the influence of a father reach so deeply into the heart of a child, even long after childhood has passed? According to the timeless spiritual wisdom inspired by Paramahansa Yogananda, there is a deeper truth hidden beneath every family relationship. Your father was not placed in your life by accident. The soul chooses experiences that help it grow, awaken, and learn lessons that cannot be learned in any other way. Sometimes a father teaches through kindness and encouragement. Sometimes he teaches through silence, absence, or challenges that force us to discover our own strength. What if the very struggles you experienced with your father were preparing you for a greater spiritual awakening? What if the pain you carry contains a lesson your soul has been trying to understand for years? Today, we will explore the hidden spiritual meaning behind your relationship with your father. We will uncover why certain wounds remain, what lessons may be hidden within them, and how understanding these truths can bring peace where there was confusion, compassion where there was resentment, and wisdom where there was pain. So, open your heart, listen carefully, and allow yourself to see your father and yourself from a completely new perspective. Many people believe that the challenges in their lives come from recent events, difficult relationships, financial struggles, or daily stress. Yet often, the roots of our deepest emotional struggles go much further back. They reach into childhood, into the relationship we had with our father. The influence of a father is powerful because, whether we realize it or not, he helps shape the way we see ourselves and the world around us. When a child feels loved, supported, and accepted, that child often grows up with a sense of inner security. But when a child feels ignored, criticized, abandoned, or emotionally disconnected, invisible wounds can begin to form. These wounds do not always disappear with time. Instead, they quietly follow us into adulthood, influencing our decisions, relationships, and self-worth. Imagine a young boy who constantly tries to impress his father but never feels good enough. No matter how hard he works, he longs to hear words of appreciation that never come. Years later, he becomes an adult who pushes himself endlessly, believing his value depends on achievement. Or imagine a young girl who rarely receives affection from her father. As she grows older, she may search for validation in relationships, hoping someone else will fill the emptiness she has carried for years. The hidden problem is not simply what happened in childhood. The hidden problem is the story we create about ourselves because of those experiences. We begin to believe that we are unworthy, unlovable, or somehow incomplete. These beliefs become invisible chains that limit our happiness and peace. Yet the truth is that these wounds are not who we are. They are experiences we have carried, not our true identity. And the moment we become aware of them, the journey of healing can finally begin. Why do these emotional wounds have such a lasting impact? Why can a single relationship affect the course of an entire life? The answer lies in both psychology and spirituality. As children, we see our parents as the center of our world. We naturally look to them for guidance, protection, love, and approval. When those needs are met, we feel safe. When they are not, we begin searching for what is missing. From a spiritual perspective, however, there is an even deeper understanding. Human beings are imperfect expressions of a perfect divine source. Every father, no matter how strong he may appear, carries his own fears, struggles, and unresolved pain. Many fathers grew up in environments where emotions were rarely expressed. They were taught to be strong, practical, and silent. Some never received love from their own fathers and therefore struggled to give what they themselves never experienced. This does not mean they did not love their children. Often, they simply did not know how to express that love in a way their children could understand. Think of a man carrying a heavy backpack filled with his own disappointments, failures, and childhood wounds. Without realizing it, he passes some of that burden to the next generation. This pattern repeats itself in families around the world. The child feels hurt, the father feels misunderstood, and both suffer silently. Yet spiritual wisdom teaches us that understanding is the beginning of compassion. When we realize that our fathers were also imperfect human beings on their own journey of growth, something begins to shift within us. We stop seeing only their mistakes and begin seeing their struggles. This understanding does not erase pain, but it softens the heart and opens the door to healing. One of the most profound teachings of spiritual wisdom is that life is not random. Every soul enters this world with lessons to learn, experiences to gain, and qualities to develop. According to the deeper understanding of karma, the relationships we experience are often connected to our soul's growth. This does not mean that suffering is a punishment. Rather, it means that every challenge carries an opportunity for awakening. Your father may have entered your life not only to raise you but also to teach you something essential about yourself. Perhaps his absence taught you independence. Perhaps his strictness taught you resilience. Perhaps his mistakes inspired you to become more compassionate and understanding. Consider a tree growing on a windy mountainside. Because it faces constant resistance, its roots grow deeper and stronger than a tree growing in perfect conditions. In the same way, difficult relationships often develop qualities within us that comfort and ease never could. Sometimes the soul chooses experiences that strengthen patience, forgiveness, courage, or wisdom. We may not understand these lessons while we are living through them. In fact, we may resist them completely. Yet years later, we often look back and recognize how those experiences shaped our character. Karma is not about blame. It is about growth. Destiny is not about being trapped. It is about being guided toward greater awareness. The important question is not, why did this happen to me? The more powerful question is, what is this experience trying to teach me? When we ask that question sincerely, life begins revealing its deeper meaning. And we start to see that even painful relationships can become powerful teachers on the path of spiritual awakening. The influence of your father does not disappear when childhood ends. In many cases, it quietly continues shaping your thoughts, emotions, relationships, and decisions for years without your awareness. This is why understanding the signs is so important. Life often reveals our deepest wounds through recurring patterns. Perhaps you constantly seek approval from others. No matter how much praise you receive, it never feels enough. Deep inside, there is still a child hoping to hear the words, "I am proud of you." Or perhaps you struggle to trust people completely. Even when someone genuinely cares for you, a part of you remains guarded, afraid of disappointment. Sometimes father wounds appear as perfectionism. You work harder than everyone else, not because you enjoy success, but because you secretly believe your worth depends on proving yourself. Consider the story of a successful businessman who seemed to have everything. He owned a beautiful home, earned a high income, and was respected by many. Yet every night he felt exhausted and empty. During a moment of deep self-reflection, he realized he had spent his entire life trying to earn the approval of a father who rarely acknowledged his achievements. The success was real, but the wound beneath it remained unhealed. Or think of a woman who repeatedly found herself in relationships where she felt unseen and unappreciated. She wondered why the same pattern kept repeating. Over time, she discovered that she had been unconsciously seeking from others the love and attention she had longed for from her father as a child. Life often mirrors our inner world. The situations we repeatedly encounter may be pointing us toward lessons that need healing. These patterns are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are invitations from your soul to become aware. Awareness is powerful because what remains hidden controls us, but what becomes conscious can be transformed. The moment you recognize these patterns with honesty and compassion, you take the first step toward freedom. And often, that first step is the beginning of a profound spiritual awakening. Healing a father wound is not about pretending the past never happened. It is not about forcing yourself to feel emotions that are not genuine. True healing begins with honesty. It begins when you have the courage to acknowledge your pain without allowing it to define your identity. The first step is to give yourself permission to feel. Many people spend years suppressing sadness, anger, disappointment, or grief because they believe these emotions are signs of weakness. Yet emotions that are buried do not disappear. They simply continue influencing us from the shadows. Healing begins when we stop running from what we feel and start listening to it with compassion. The second step is understanding. Try to see your father not only as your father, but as a human being. Imagine him as a young child with dreams, fears, insecurities, and wounds of his own. Imagine the burdens he carried that you may never have fully seen. This perspective does not excuse harmful actions, but it helps free your heart from the weight of bitterness. There is a beautiful story about a man who spent decades resenting his father. He believed his father never loved him because affection was rarely shown. After his father's passing, he discovered old journals describing years of sacrifice, worry, and silent prayers for his family's well-being. For the first time, he realized that love had been present all along, but expressed in a language he had not understood. Another powerful step is releasing the expectation that the past can be changed. Many people remain trapped because they are still waiting for yesterday to become different. Peace arrives when we accept reality and choose how we will respond today. Most importantly, develop a relationship with the divine. Human love, while beautiful, is often imperfect. Divine love is constant. The more deeply you connect with that inner source of peace, the less dependent you become on external validation. You begin to discover that your worth was never determined by another person's ability to recognize it. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering your pain without allowing it to control your future. It is choosing wisdom over resentment, compassion over judgment, and growth over suffering. If there is one profound lesson hidden within every father-child relationship, it is this: your soul is greater than any wound you have experienced. For many years, we may define ourselves through painful memories. We tell ourselves stories about what happened, what should have happened, and what was missing. Gradually, those stories become part of our identity. Yet spiritual awakening begins when we realize that we are not the story. We are the awareness observing the story. Think of the sky and the clouds. Storm clouds may gather overhead. They may darken the horizon and temporarily block the sunlight. But the sky itself remains untouched. In the same way, painful experiences may pass through your life, but they do not define the essence of who you are. Beneath every hurt, disappointment, and fear exists something eternal, peaceful, and whole. Many people spend years trying to change their fathers, understand their fathers, or receive something from their fathers that may never come. But true freedom begins when attention shifts inward. The deepest healing does not come from changing another person. It comes from awakening to your own divine nature. At a certain point on the spiritual journey, something remarkable happens. You begin to see your father differently. Instead of seeing only his mistakes, you begin seeing his humanity. Instead of seeing only the pain he caused, you begin recognizing the lessons that emerged because of those experiences. You understand that he, too, was a soul learning difficult lessons on earth. This realization often opens the door to forgiveness. Forgiveness is not saying that everything was acceptable. Forgiveness is releasing the burden of carrying the pain forever. It is choosing peace over perpetual suffering. Perhaps your father gave you love. Perhaps he gave you challenges. Perhaps he gave you both. Yet regardless of your experience, your soul has the power to transform every lesson into wisdom. Today, you have an opportunity to see your life through a higher perspective. Not as a victim of your past, but as a soul growing through every experience. The moment you embrace that truth, something beautiful happens. The wound begins to become wisdom. The pain begins to become compassion. And the relationship that once caused confusion becomes a doorway to spiritual awakening. That is the deeper purpose. That is the hidden blessing. And that is the journey toward true inner freedom. As we come to the end of this journey together, take a quiet moment and reflect on everything we have explored today. Perhaps your relationship with your father has been filled with love, or perhaps it has been marked by pain, distance, misunderstanding, or unanswered questions. Whatever your experience may be, remember this: your past does not define the destiny of your soul. Every challenge, every disappointment, every lesson has carried within it the possibility of greater wisdom, deeper compassion, and spiritual growth. The relationship you have with your father is not simply a chapter in your life story. It may be one of the soul's most powerful classrooms. And when you begin to see it through the eyes of understanding rather than judgment, something extraordinary happens. The burden becomes lighter, the heart becomes softer, and the lessons become clearer. So today, I invite you to ask yourself this simple but powerful question: what is the most important lesson my soul has learned through my relationship with my father? Sit with that question. Reflect on it honestly. You may discover an answer that brings healing in ways you never expected. And now, I would love to hear from you. In the comments below, share one lesson, realization, or experience that touched your heart while watching this video. Your story may inspire and help someone else who is walking a similar path. Also, let me know what spiritual topic you would like me to explore in the next video. Whether it is about karma, soul connections, destiny, relationships, meditation, divine guidance, or the deeper teachings of spiritual awakening, I read your comments and many future videos are inspired by your suggestions. If this message brought value to your life, please consider subscribing to the channel, sharing this video with someone who may need these words today, and joining our growing community of sincere seekers. Until our next journey together, may peace fill your heart, wisdom guide your steps, and divine love illuminate your path. Jai Guru Dev.